David Goggins is an author, speaker, retired Navy SEAL, and one of the greatest endurance athletes in the world who was named a hero of running by Runner's World. He went from growing up in an abusive household, struggling with asthma, obesity, and racism, to becoming a SEAL, world record holder for the most pull-ups done in 24 hours, and one of the world's highest paid speakers. Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation. Yeah!
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like na 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 na. For my top 10, top 10, na 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 na. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, David Goggins, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Get a different vantage point.
I used to look at my life from a different vantage point, and when you're in all the muck, and you're just walking in muck and walking in muck and walking in muck, you don't see that if you look off to the left of the muck, there's a sidewalk, brother. Get off of it. You have your head down looking in this muck. Once I saw the sidewalk, got the sidewalk, I got a little break. And I got a different vantage point. And then from the sidewalk, I found a cliff. Then I found a mountain. I got way up high on top of my life and looked back down on it and said, okay, I got to figure this out, man. I'm not going anywhere. I'm starting to lie. So when you have a messed up foundation, I started lying about everything. I wanted people to like me. I wanted to be accepted in some society of life, some social society. And I was like, man, this isn't the right way. I'm messed up here, I'm messed up here, I'm messed up everywhere. And so I realized the worst thing that happened to me is I lost myself. I never had myself, I never found myself. I had no self-esteem. So I knew through working out and through learning, because it took a lot for me to learn also, I started finding self-esteem. Once I found that, that's when doors started opening up. I stopped caring about people, that what they thought, being judged. Wow, if I say this, if I started right now, are you gonna make fun of me? I stopped caring about that. And that's when my life started really changing for me, slowly but surely.
Rule number 2, don't be mediocre.
Do you ever have a day where you just think, I can't be asked to do anything. I'm not going for a run, I'm not stretching, I'm doing nothing.
Every day.
Yeah. So you have the thought, but you don't have the day.
Every day.
Do you ever let yourself have a day where
Never.
you just watch Netflix?
Never, because
Some
guess
good
what?
shit on Netflix.
I'm haunted. No, I can't do it. I can't do it. There may be some days I get up with poopy pants, and I'm like, you know what, man? F this, man. Like, what am I training for?
Yeah.
I have no race on the docket. Why am I having this such a structured life? Why? And I'm like, you know what? I'm good. I'm done. I retire every day.
Yeah.
I'm done with this shit. And I sit around and I say, okay. And then this is my thought process. So you want to be normal. So you just want to be like everybody else that roams the world, not knowing the power that's in them. Being fine with being mediocre. You want to go back to who you were, huh, David? And I'm like, F that, man.
And you have that conversation with yourself every day?
Not every day, it's those bad days.
Yeah.
It's those bad days. I see a whole bunch of people walking around out here who have no idea how talented they truly are. Now I'm talking about talent, like some God-given ability. Talent that sometimes you have to hone, and you have to work on, and you have to harness yourself. And they just walk around just on their phones, just clueless to how powerful they are.
Rule number 3, find your new norm.
I am constantly trying to find my new 100%. Even though life gets at you, age gets at you, sickness may get at you. I have friends of mine who lost legs, who lost arms, who lost all kind of stuff. And they call me and say, hey, man, what am I going to do now? I said, well, it's up to you to find your new norm.
Love that,
It's up to you to find your new 100%. No, you cannot do some of the things you used to do. But what can you do today? What can you do now with what you have? And you must find your new norm. So I was in Navy SEAL training for 18 months. Navy SEAL training is only a 6-month program. I was in it for 18 months. People said, how did you do it? I changed my mindset to where Navy SEAL, I was a permanent Navy SEAL student. That's how I looked at myself. That was my new norm. My new norm was I got up and I got the shit kicked out of me every day of my life. And that was my new norm. I didn't look forward to, oh, I can't wait for it to end. Oh my God, this and that, all the feeling sorry for yourself. No, my new life until it's over is I'm a permanent Navy SEAL student, and my life is about getting the shit kicked out of me. So you got to change your mindset for the situation that you're in today.
Rule number 4, own your weaknesses.
It's more important to own your weaknesses. You got to really triple down on those, man. Because why? You want to become a full human being. We like to run away from weaknesses. Like, for instance, if you're good at running, all you want to do is run. If you're great at reading, you have several books. But we don't do those things that we're not good at. So for me, I realized, man, like, I keep on running away from these things I'm not good at. I have to dive into these things. I have to become one with these things. And that's what happened. And so I own them both.
Yeah.
And I talk very openly about them both.
Also, if you want to have confidence, self-love, and motivation, check out my 254 series. They're free. The links to join are in the description below.
You will never learn from people if we always tap dance around the truth. What if I can become someone that no one thinks I can be? And just me talking about that, I have the hair going up on my arms. It's about what you're saying to yourself, but it also comes with work. So whenever I was getting beat down, physically, mentally, spiritually, whatever I was going through, just saying, I would put, you can't hurt me.
Rule number 5, build calluses on your mind.
A lot of people, when they think about working out, they think of it as being a physical thing.
Right, no. I did it for mental.
Yeah.
People always say, my God, like, no, don't look at it like, I didn't care about losing weight. I didn't care about being the fastest person. I wasn't making the Olympics. I wasn't going to pros. I could barely read and write when I was in a junior in high school. I wasn't going anywhere. I saw working out as a way for me to build calluses on my mind. I had to callus over the victim's mentality. So I watched these movies. I talked about Rocky last time I was on here. I always equated training to mental toughening. Like, it always looked brutal. People waking up early and doing all these things, and it looked horrible. I was like, wow, man, I got to start doing that. Not to get better, bigger, and stronger, but that is what's going to build me. That looks uncomfortable. That looks brutal. And getting up early, I don't want to do that. So I made this long list of things that I don't want to do. And through that, I found myself. I started, I'm like, you guys aren't doing this shit in high school. You guys aren't getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, running over here in this golf course. So I started seeing myself very differently than the average human being. I was like, hang on a second. I have something they don't have. And that's when I started to develop these things through working out. It was this great, never-ending work ethic. And through work ethic, I developed self-esteem.
Rule number 6, have day 1, week 1 mentality.
I'm curious about why 6 months became 18.
So basically, I became the only person in Navy SEAL history to be in 3 hell weeks in 1 year. And so,
why? Was it you were just slow or?
No, I got injured twice, but so I went through, so my first hell week, and hell week is 130 hours of continuous training. You start on Sunday, end on Friday. The first hell week, I got sick, double pneumonia, stress fractures, got rolled back to day 1. And Navy SEAL training is 6 weeks, and hell week is either 3rd week or 5th week of training, depending upon what class you're in. And then you have another 20-some weeks of training after hell week. So basically, I was in hell week, got injured, got rolled back to day 1, week 1. So started my second class, went through that hell week, graduated that hell week, get ready to start second phase, broke my kneecap. Got rolled back to day 1, week 1 again. Went back to started back day 1, week 1, and went all the way through that class. So it was just bad luck for me, but that bad luck taught me a lot about myself and about the human mind and what we can do. And I talk about in my book a lot about day 1, week 1. Day 1, week 1 is starting from scratch, starting over.
I love that, man.
And that's the mentality that I live by. Don't be afraid to go back to day 1, week 1. And I always, no matter how much I've accomplished in life, my life is always lived at day 1, week 1, because that's where you grind. You grind at the beginning. And we always start to get very complacent and very comfortable as we start to get to where we're going. We start to relax. We don't wake up early in the morning. We're not prepared. So if you have that day 1, week 1 mentality, it's like going for a job interview.
Yeah, yeah.
So the job interview squared away. And then after you get the job, a couple months later, man, you're like, you know what? I can go a little later. No one's grinding that hard.
Right.
I don't need to be that squared away every day. You start to get this very soft mentality. And then you become that person. So that's why the day one, week one mentality throughout your whole life, it keeps you grinding hard.
Rule number 7, develop discipline.
Honestly, it was, I realized at a young age how to change myself was through discipline. And the military didn't teach me that. It was something I realized I had zero discipline, zero self-discipline. And I realized I have to start developing this. And I started really because I was horrible at reading and I was horrible at writing. I have so many learning disabilities, not even funny. So I just sit down at the table and spend so much time in this, reading and writing and learning. And that kind of translated over to my self-discipline with working out. So that's where it started. I started when I was about 16 years old and said, well, I have a 4th grade reading level. Let me go ahead now and start really focusing because I'm not going to get in the military because I got to pass the test.
Yeah.
So that's where it started for me.
Rule number 8, don't make excuses.
What's your excuse? Is it too cold where you live? Is it too hot where you live? Does it rain too much? Now it's time for some real talk. Maybe you're the only black person applying for a job. Maybe you're the only female. Maybe you're the only gay person. Job, whatever the it may be. Maybe that shit's in your head. Maybe that's your excuse for not being better. Life's a real big picture. When I was young, all those things got in my head. Black, not smart enough, single mom, all that bullshit owns space in my head. If you're allowing people and things and situations to own space in your head, you're losing. Last thing, life's one big head game. You play with yourself. If you lose, it's because you allow life to get in your head.
Rule number 9, train for life.
I never read anything. I could barely read, so
Right.
I wasn't reading back then. I watched a lot of movies, and I was really big into visualization. And I always equated working out to struggle. And I struggled my whole life, but I ran from it. So I started realizing, man, I got to start facing the struggle, and I got to be mentally strong for the struggle. So that's why I started coming up with I'm training for life. Mentally, I'm training for life. I'm not training for to lift 400 pounds. And I found out on my own pretty much is that through discipline, through self-discipline, through repetition, through tons of repetition of the same thing that you don't want to do, and that's the key thing. Through repetition of things you don't want to do, you develop mental, like an armor for your mind. You start to armor your mind because your mind's like, okay, we suffer every day. It's what we do. We do stuff that sucks every day. So then when the suck stuff comes, you're ready for it. And that's how I started coming up. I just started being very uncomfortable. And now it's like just a way of life.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is follow the 40% rule.
So basically, the 40% rule is something I designed years ago. And I started realizing how little most of us are leaving so much on the table. And this is what the 40% rule is, just to make it very basic and simplistic for people. You know how you buy a car back in the day, and some cars have a governor on it.
Yeah.
So the speedometer may say 135 miles an hour. But that governor is set at 91, 92 miles an hour.
Yeah.
So you're driving, you got a nice ass car, and a Corvette passes right by you. Bam! The guy looks at you and says, hey, come on, man, let's go, let's get after it. You look at him and say, hey, man, I can't. I got a governor on my car. I can't race you. But if you take the governor off that car, you can go 135 miles an hour. The thing about it is our brains also have a governor on them.
Yeah.
And that governor is basically your insecurities, your fears, pain, suffering. Whenever your mind starts to feel uncomfortable, your brain tells you it's time to quit. We are done. Let's pack it the up and get out of here. Let's now go to our comfortable spot where we feel good about ourselves. So the 40% rule is just that. We are leaving so much on the table because our mind has control over us versus us having control over our minds.
Now, I've got a special bonus clip from David on how to hold yourself accountable that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, how are you going to apply the 40% rule to your life? Let me know. Put it down in the comments below. And if you made it this far in the video, you're still here watching, I want to celebrate you, because Believe Nation, we don't just watch videos, we do something about it. So if that's you and you commit, you promise you're going to take action immediately after watching this video, give me a hashtag Believe down in the comments and tell me where you're from, because I want to celebrate you.
Okay, the accountability mirror. It's exactly that. It holds you accountable for what the you're doing wrong. I call it my live autopsy. Basically, it's key takeaways from your life. We all know that we're not perfect. We all know that certain things make us have thin skin. Certain things make us lie, make us feel insignificant. You know, maybe you're getting judged. Wherever the it is, it's the why am I being a bitch sometimes. Why do people go on social media and maybe troll somebody to write some disgusting, nasty shit about somebody? They don't even know what's making you do that shit. What's making you lie? What's making you cheat? What's making you steal? For me, I did a whole bunch of up shit. So this mirror held me accountable, but it was myself. I had to hold myself accountable for the why am I being a bitch in certain situations. Why, when certain people say certain things, do I feel a certain way? Figure out yourself, get yourself hard, stay hard.
If you want 10 more awesome rules from David Goggins, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll enjoy it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
And I look at it as psychological warfare. And that's where I started learning that life is one big psychological warfare that you play on yourself.